The mayor of Pittsburgh has issued an executive order to Uber on what he expects from the company if they are to develop self-driving vehicles in their city. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. Now, Uber is back on the road testing their self-driving vehicles. They are testing them in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. And this has surprised people for a number of reasons. First of all, one of their self-driving vehicles did kill a woman in Arizona. Talked about that yesterday in a video that I got rather heated about. And on top of which, when Uber announced they were going to be testing on the roads again, they announced Pittsburgh as one of the locations they were going to be doing it. To which the government office of Pittsburgh said, "We're not aware of this. We didn't give permission for them to bring their cars here. What are they saying?" But they did start showing up, and apparently they have been let on the roads. But the mayor of Pittsburgh, unlike Governor Ducey from Arizona, knows that Uber left, not kept an eye on, can do some really, really bad things, including killing people. So he has made a little bit of demands in an executive order that he has signed. And he signed this on Monday, so I know this is a little late, but again, dental work, record a lot of videos in advance, but still worth talking about. So anyway, it says, Mayor Bill Peduto signed an executive order Monday that outlined the objectives and expectations from the city of Pittsburgh for testing autonomous vehicles. Now, before we go any further, I will admit, here's the thing. They have expectations and objectives. That I can get behind. It's like, okay, this is our objective. We want it to get to this point. But here are our expectations while we are getting to that point. It doesn't mean we're going to actually reach our objectives, but hey, at least we can have certain expectations along the way. And this is what he's talking about. The executive order, called the Pittsburgh Principles, is the first of its kind to be issued by a city. All of the prominent entities currently developing autonomous driving systems in Pittsburgh, Aptiv, Argo AI, Aurora Innovation, Carnegie Mellon University, and Uber were represented at the signing Monday. But we all know this is about Uber because these other companies didn't screw up the way Uber did. According to a press release from the mayor's office, the principles include 1. Instituting transparent lines of communication between the city and partners testing autonomous vehicles, and annual reports on the implementation of AV policies. 2. Promoting automated driving systems that encourage high vehicle occupancy with lower or no emissions and lower cost and equitable transportation options. Not bad. 3. Engaging industry leaders and community stakeholders to collaboratively facilitate the further development and deployment of self-driving technology. The executive order designates the city departments of mobility and infrastructure as the point of contact and directs DOMI to collaborate with public agency partners, private sector industry, and general public stakeholders in developing policy around the technology. That also means, by the way, that the general public will be involved in this, which is a good thing to do. That's something that Governor Ducey certainly never did with his voters. Now, I know that can be risky, when you're developing a technology and you start showing the warts and the flaws, and you start presenting those to people, people get really nervous about things because they focus on the flaws, they don't focus on the good. And admittingly, I'm very similar, especially when it comes to this. People harp on me like, Kevin, you keep talking about this one person that got killed. Why do you not care about all the other miles they've logged? And to be frank, the reason is because, well, the other miles that they logged, I think, are problematic too. With other areas, it's like it goes 1.2 miles or 1.5, I think it was, before they need human interaction or intervention. That is not a stable self-driving vehicle. This is the Waymo cars too. I think they get up to 2 miles, but you can't have fully autonomous cars if the drivers have to step in every 2 miles. They might as well not stop driving. And the only areas where they don't have this restriction is when they're in their little man-made cities and they're driving around and everything is super predictable. But the real world is not like that. So I think the data is very, very flawed. But I will admit, so far only one person has died. although there have been many more accidents. And of course, if we're throwing Tesla into the mix, then there have been more deaths. But let's continue. The order also instructs DOMI to develop guidelines for testing and to report back to the public at least annually on progress in testing and policy development. So the big key thing here that I appreciate is that the public is being kept in the loop about everything. That's something Arizona did not do. And there's the tweet, which, by the way, the fact that they are making the tweet available to the public, that also shows real transparency, and that's going to help them. And as Chris Lovingood said, we want to work hand in hand with the autonomous car industry to be a leader once again. And that's why, you know, these cities even contemplate letting these cars on the road, because it's like, hey, do you want to be the person who was scared of this technology, or do you want to be one of the leaders? But the thing is, I'm still super doubtful that these things are going to really work out in the long run. Heck, we are now 1 year away. 1 year away from when these things were supposed to be everywhere. I mean, now they're saying, okay, no. It's more like, you know, 2023. They've given themselves a few more years. But, you know, even before I was doing this channel, they were talking about how, like, oh, in 2015, autonomous cars, they'll be on the road. They always push it back because the reality is these cars don't work. And they're not going to work. And the only way for them to work is if one company had all the cars and was running on the same operating system and owned the satellites. Basically, you need to have one person to be Big Brother. And, you know, I'm sorry, I don't want Big Brother to be controlling everything just to have self-driving cars. I don't need that. I don't want that. No one should want that. But nevertheless, if these things have to be on the road, and if a city has to, you know, meditate on it, having an executive order like this is not bad. And again, even though that they sent this out to several companies, it's geared towards Uber. Uber's the only one that failed in the most spectacular way possible. And so, therefore, that's what it was for. No getting around it. But now, of course, I pass the question on to you. What do you think about this? Do you think this will be enough to keep Uber and all the other companies honest about what they're doing? Or do you think this is all smoke and mirrors? And most importantly, do you think someone else is going to be dying as a result of this? I hope not, but I've got my thoughts. But I want to hear from you, so you know the drill. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. And you get access to my exclusive Patrons-only blog. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.